Howdy, folks. What's up? I'm currently, and I'm sure many of you are now watching the State of the Union. Uh, Donald Trump speaking live in front of a joint session of Congress. Um, don't really have much news today because I think this was pretty much dominating the news headlines, and so I kind of just got it filtered into my headphones right now. You can kind of see Trump talking in the background. Um, he hasn't really talked about much yet. He's been talking for about 30 minutes now, and it's mainly been um, him pointing out people that are in the gallery who he wanted to point out for doing special things, like Corey the welder, and he just pointed out another boy, and now he's talking about the the judges, some of the things that he's been able to enact, like tax cuts and bringing down the unemployment rate, stuff like that. So it's been pretty uneventful, which is, I think, what many of us were expecting for the State of the Union. This being really the first like official speech for Trump since he's become president. He's made, plenty of speeches, and of course, as we all know, he uses Twitter pretty liberally. So it's not like we don't hear from him every day already. But it's interesting to finally just hear him read from a teleprompter and actually stay on task. We haven't heard anything about any shitholes yet. We haven't heard any other obtuse language that we're used to from Trump. So, so far it's been so good. So yeah, I'm just kind of listening along, and if I, pick up on anything that he's saying that's especially important, I will do that. And of course, there's also plenty of live coverage from different outlets. I'm actually perusing through Yahoo right now, and they're actually fact checking the State of the Union. So I'll go through what they've gotten so far. So far, Trump says we enacted the biggest tax cuts and reform in American history, and the facts are no truer now than in the countless other times he has said the same. The December tax overhaul ranks behind Ronald Reagan's in the early 1980s, post-World War II tax cuts, and at least several more. An analyst by the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget in the fall put Trump's package as the eighth biggest since 1918. As a percentage of the total economy, Reagan's 1981 cut is the biggest, followed by the 1945 rollback of taxes that financed World War II, and on and on and on. And then let's see. So there is one. So yeah, he made the quote about unemployment claims have hit a 45-year low. African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded, and Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history. Um, so that's, really been the biggest thing. Um, and of course, all the Democrats, they're like glaring at pretty much everything he says. So you've got the Republicans that are just, fawning over every single word, clapping at every moment they get, which is pretty much just the reverse that we saw every time Obama came to the podium to speak. So let's see what he's saying now.
Who undermine the public trust or fail the American people. In our drive to make Washington accountable, we have eliminated more regulations in our first year than any administration in the history of our country. We have ended the war on American energy, and we have ended the war on beautiful, clean coal.
All right, so there goes Governor Rick Perry, well, former Governor Rick Perry, now Energy Secretary Rick Perry. I he's now saying we're an exporter of energy to the world. I thought we were always exporting energy to the world. I'm pretty sure a lot of our coal and oil went to other countries. Um, I do find it interesting that he's trying to bring back the coal industry because it's it's one of those things that I've worked on. It's near and dear to my heart. I used to do a lot of renewable energy type projects, um, and it's I just feel like it's the way of the future. We need to move towards solar. We need to move towards wind. We need to move towards safe, reliable nuclear um, type energy sources. Why coal? Why they would want to revive the coal industry is just beyond me. So it's interesting that you know Trump decided to bring that up. Um, let's see what else he's saying. He's talking about Chrysler
In a long
bringing a
time.
plant
Go
from
back.
Mexico to Detroit.
Very soon, auto plants and other plants will be opening up all over our country. This is all news Americans are totally unaccustomed to hearing. For many years, companies and jobs were only leaving us. But now they are roaring back. They're coming back. They want to be where the action is. They want to be in the United States of America. That's what they want.
All right, just gonna mute or at least put it in my headphones. So I will say that if it works out, I don't see anything wrong about whatever Trump is doing that is causing these companies to bring jobs back to the U.S. Because when you think about it, the U.S. is a first world country, but it's a first world country in some places, and then you'll find in many places that it's not. I actually live in Metro Detroit myself, and I can tell you that if you drive down into certain parts of Detroit, you would think you were in, second world, even third world countries. Just the amount of poverty and blight that there are. So the reason for that is one, because of the advancements in technology. There's also suburbanization with people moving out of urban centers, but a big reason for that is because jobs that were once in America were pushed overseas into countries where labor rates were cheaper, where regulations weren't as strong and things like that. And so I, for one, am actually glad to see an American first policy where the jobs that initially were here in the U.S. are being brought back here. I fully believe that if a product is being used in a country, then that product should be made in that country. To me, it's more of a circular economy, and just thinking about it from even a logistics standpoint, it's easier to make a product in the country where it's going to be used. It's good for the environment. You save on shipping and transport costs and on emissions from that as well. So I know a lot of people will harp on many points of Trump and his policies on America first and make America great again, but I give me an argument against that, against bringing jobs back to our country, against any of that. And yes, it will cause other countries to suffer, but I believe that if we are able to bring ourselves back, then we can also help the global economy. For one thing, getting some of these jobs and getting some of these unsafe jobs out of those countries in the first place, and actually should what actually I think it would create a vacuum in many places, so that would hurt them. But I really can't think of anything positive. So I am trying to think really hard about how it could benefit another country, and I lost my train of thought there. But I do believe strongly that the jobs that started here in America, they need to come back. So I'm happy to see if the unemployment rate is truly down to its lowest. I am happy about that. But yeah, I think about countries like, India and Indonesia and even Mexico, and just places where a lot of our manufacturing is, China even, and just thinking about how those countries have thrived under our jobs, but there's also been a lot of suffering under our jobs. We see a lot of companies and factories where standards just aren't up to par, and people just aren't getting paid what they should be getting paid. Um, my hope is that here, so I guess here's where my hope is. My hope is that if jobs, if positions are brought back to the States, that those people that had those jobs would be able to follow them here to the States, and would actually be able to get paid a true living wage, and would actually be able to work in true safe environments. So again, I'm all about opportunity for every human being. But yeah, that's just where I stand. It's hard to see a lot of these places in America that have been so deeply impacted because some company was trying to cut corners, or reduce the amount of money they had to pay people. So let's see what else Trump is saying right now. Still getting applause.
Empire State Building in just 1 year. Isn't it a disgrace that it can now take 10 years just to get a minor permit approved for the building of a simple road? I'm asking both parties to come together to give us safe, fast, reliable, and modern infrastructure that our economy needs and our people deserve.
Now this is interesting because the Democrats are sitting down for this, but I'm pretty sure they stood up and applauded Barack Obama each time he brought this up, because this is something that has literally been an issue in the States for about as long as I can remember. It's our crumbling infrastructure. Every year, the American Society for Civil Engineers, I believe it is, puts out a report that clearly outlines that our infrastructure is crumbling. The report card continues to get worse and worse for our bridges. I remember there were a few years where just a bunch of bridges were crumbling. We had the power outages back in the early 2000s. We all know we have a crumbling and deteriorating power grid. Waterways. Like, why wouldn't the Democrats stand for that? So again, this is just all grandstanding that the Democrats are doing right now. This is another point that I believe is great for America. We need strong infrastructure, and we need to put some sort of package together that'll help us. Again, living in Metro Detroit, I cannot tell you how many roads I drive by every day, going to work, going to church, going to buy something, and the roads are just absolutely terrible, absolutely horrific. So this infrastructure spending is needed. So Democrats, come on, give them something.
We want every American to know the dignity of a hard day's work. We want every child to be safe in their home at night. And we want every citizen to be proud of this land that we all love so much. We can lift our citizens from welfare to work, from dependence to independence, and from poverty to prosperity. And
Again, my boy Bernie should have been president. Thanks, Hillary.
as tax cuts create new jobs, let's invest in workforce development, and let's invest in job training, which we need so badly.
Again, Democrats should be standing for this. They stood for this with Obama.
Let's open great vocational schools so our future workers can learn a craft and realize their full potential.
So this is interesting, and this will probably be the last point since I'm already at the 15-minute mark. Vocational schools he wants to open. I'm wondering what the similarities are between vocational schools that Trump is wanting and the free community college that Barack Obama touted so heavily and the Democrats applauded so heavily during his 8 years. Because again, this is great. I feel like this is actually better than the community college push that Trump was pushing, because vocational schools are actually teaching people hands-on, tangible skills, whereas community college is a little bit more nebulous in terms of what courses you're taking. Are you taking liberal arts classes, which really don't do you jack squat of a favor when it comes to the job world? I mean, a liberal arts major, I'm not sure how you can support yourself on that these days. So vocational school, technical skills, something that actually, yes, will help to build the country's infrastructure and things like that. Something that could put you at a company like NASA or, you know, a General Motors or anywhere of a technical nature. Yes, that's what we need. Could it be free? I would love that. I would love to see free vocational schools being offered to Americans. So I'm going to keep listening to the State of the Union. I might come back tomorrow and give some more of my thoughts to see you know, what else people have thought about it. It's always interesting because anytime I see like black people, I'm like, oh, well, what is he saying? Oh, I better hear this. But anyway, yeah, I'll come back tomorrow. We'll see what else he said, maybe dissect this a little bit more, unless something else crazy happens in the meantime. But today was a otherwise pretty quiet day in my view. Nothing really piqued my interest, and I was just really gearing up to see exactly what Trump would say and what his rhetoric, what his tone would be. And so far, he's been pretty tame, and he's sounds like he stayed on the topic that he's wanted to stay on, recognizing a vast array of Americans from different walks of life, and really just trying to unite people. You can really tell he's trying to reach out, especially to the African Americans. I believe he's realized that there's been a lot that just his image has done to taint our views of him and the Republican Party. And as you can tell by, you know, what they're showing right now, he's really trying to fix that. So I applaud that wholeheartedly. But as we all know, actions speak louder than words. So I'm going to end it there. I'm glad you all took the time out to join me today. As always, I will be trying to do these live somewhere in between the hours of 9 and 10 p.m. So again, thanks for joining me. If there's any topics I should be talking about or you'd like to talk to me about, let me know. Come and join me in the dungeon. All right. That's all I got. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Peace out.